Welcome to again AWANI. My name is Shafizan Johari. Today we're talking about Workforce Transformation 4.0, and here with me, three very important HR people in the country. So let me introduce you one by one. Next to me is Deputy President of Malaysian Institute of Human Resource, Dr. Henry Yeo. In the middle, Madam Karen Yap, she's the Chief HR Officer of Manulife. And we also have Mr. Varun Bhatia, he's the Chief People and Culture Officer of AirAsia. Now, let me open up the forum. Basically, we'll be talking about workforce and Industrial Revolution 4.0. How will Industrial Revolution 4.0 affect the work, or rather the workforce in a whole? So data from WEF says that the real challenge for Industrial Revolution 4.0 is a net loss of over 5 million jobs by 2020. Well, this is not Malaysian centric. Basically, it's a global centric, where I expect Malaysia would be also affected. So, to open the stage, Mr. Dr. Yeo.
Okay.
Are we ready?
Sure. All right. I guess there's a lot of fear about Industry 4.0 and how much the era of artificial intelligence and robotics were likely to displace ordinary people from their workplaces. Well, to a certain extent that is true. We are also seeing that new jobs are being created, and one of the latest local statistics that have been published is that the creation of new jobs from Industry 4.0 actually outnumbers the jobs that are being replaced or displaced. So it's a matter of getting the workforce mindset, not to fear industrialization or technology disruption, but rather to look at it much more positively. Because if it's leveraged well, technology or Industry 4.0 can be a game changer to both the business owners as well as to the ordinary rakyat.
All right, yes. So there's also new jobs creation.
Sure.
And but the challenge is with the number of workforce and the kind of trainings that they already has and the kind of exposure they already have, would they be able to fulfill the new job scope?
Okay. Very good question. So what's happening on various fronts from the governmental agencies like Talent Corps, as well as the HRDF and the Ministry of Human Resources, together with the Jabatan Pembangunan Kemajuan, right, JPK. They are addressing how employers should be able to address or tackle the advent of technology in their businesses and in the workplace. At the same time, institute like us, MIHRM, will continue to propagate and populate the need for HR leaders and practitioners to be much more proactive rather than reactive. You have to be able to anticipate what are the likely impact that technology will have in your business, and how do you prepare your people, especially the business owners and the senior leadership, to adopt this change of, or rather the new way of doing things.
Well, speaking of adoption, data from WEF also states that financial service industry is likely to lose about 43% of workforce in the next 3 years. So maybe we could get Madam Karen Yap to respond on this, since you're in a company where you're involved in financial service industry. So the kind of retraining or the kind of preparedness that you yourself undertaken.
Yeah, basically, I would probably actually look at the other side is that of course there are a lot of concerns regarding this, but I see a lot of positiveness in this matter. With the digital era, and I would say that many physical and repetitive tasks, are actually moved into the digital space, whereby employees can have access to storage, can actually do their work anytime in a day and out of their office.
So that means more flexibility.
That means there are a lot of flexibility whereby they don't need to be in the office. You will see a lot of trend whereby people love it, that they can actually work from home. There are a lot of actually a lot of engagement, I would say, because a lot of empowerment in the way they manage, you know, their work life, and this is great. And when the employees are empowered, definitely they are engaged, and when they are engaged, right, I can see a lot of higher productivity. Talk about losing the jobs, right? Yes, the jobs are lost is actually the traditional jobs, but just like Dr. Henry said, there will be more creations, you know, in terms of actually new jobs. And basically, I look at two spectrum. For the existing staff, right, definitely we have to reskill, and we have to upskill, you know, in the skills on the digital. But to those who are entering into the workforce, definitely I would say that the HR can actually partner with the higher education institute to actually look at, you know, their training curriculum, you know, like in the universities, whether they are actually producing graduates, you know, whereby they are digital savvy.
When we talk about producing the talents that we need, the talent, are the universities in Malaysia doing well in this sphere?
I wouldn't be in a position to comment, but definitely, you know, a strong calibration can put in place to you know, because technology are changing so fast. We both sides, you know, on the fence, right, can do more in terms of actually keep checking basically whether the syllabus, you know, what they're training is relevant, you know, to what the employment market wants.
All right, we have to take our first short break, and when we come back, we'll be talking to Mr. Varun Bhatia. He's the Chief People and Culture Officer in AirAsia, and try to understand what makes AirAsia such a fun place to work. So he'll share his secrets. See you after this. Welcome back to Agenda AWANI. We're still with three key individuals. I would say the best reference point for HR industry in Malaysia. We are with Deputy President, Malaysian Institute of Human Resource, Dr. Henry Goh, Mr. Karen Yap, she's the Chief HR Officer of Manulife, and Mr. Varun Bhatia, he's the Chief People and Culture Officer in AirAsia. Mr. Bhatia, what makes AirAsia such a fun place to work? How do you retain, yes, your staff, but how do you retain the level of happiness in the company?
I think it starts from the top, right? I mean, everybody knows Tony Fernandez.
All right.
He's a fun guy. So it starts from there. I mean, having a leader who's got a clear vision like he has, and a sense of humor to kind of balance out the growth and pressure that we've been facing, is a fabulous combination for any company, for employees of any company to feel engaged and be happy.
I mean, the challenge is real. Aviation industry is no joke. I mean, you look at 10 years ago, there are like dozens of airlines all around the world. They have to change ownership, you know, rebrand, and yes, that makes it very challenging as what me from the outside seeing it. How do you manage? And you also said balancing between pressure and you know, being chill. And now with Industry Revolution 4.0, is it basically assisting towards you know, a more harmonious culture in your company?
Sure. So I think, you know, the digital advances everybody is making is clearly something we can't ignore. I mean, we not only got to be part of that, we're leading in the aviation world with a lot of digital reinvention that we're going through ourselves. It starts from the customer, clearly. Without a customer, you don't have a business, you don't have people, you don't have a culture. So if we can enable our customers to to engage with the company and the products we offer at the kind of pricing and the cost that we have, I think we have a winning proposition. And digital technologies is helping us to do that and has helped us from the very beginning.
All right.
If you recall, I think Tony was the one when he launched this company, he talked about, hey, we have to promote more and more traffic to our own booking site directly, rather than people having to go through agents, etc., etc. So I think that model's really worked well from the very beginning for us. And from that point of view, I think we were the quintessential digital company to begin with.
All right.
But I think as digital technologies have advanced, there's a lot of new stuff which has come, which I think we also have to keep on top of. And our senior leadership team is clearly doing that. We've reorganized the company recently. You may have heard we've created two leaders, one leading the digital side of the business, one leading the airline side of the business. So even from an organization structure point of view and from a human resources, people and organization point of view, I think we are trying to enable how we will get the organization to focus on what matters most. For us, what matters most is making sure the airline business operates very smoothly. And on the other side, we want to make sure we are using digital technologies to enable the airline business to operate very well as monetize the amount of information, data that we have. Because we are flying about 80 million passengers. We flew last year. This year we may fly about 90 million passengers. So their data and helping them make good decisions, smart decisions, is going to help us to monetize the business.
AirAsia, you operate in many emerging Asian economies. Number one. Number two, that leads into the number of people that you have to basically handle, that you have to manage. And the question is, how do you keep them updated with all the kind of new technologies?
That's a great question. It's very difficult for anybody, right? Even if we didn't have anybody in any place outside Malaysia, I think it would be difficult even to update people in Malaysia itself. But we operate in about 26 countries where we have employees, and we have about 22,000 employees. So updating 22,000 employees on what's happening within the company, first of all, so that business runs smoothly, and then upskilling them, reskilling them about new technologies is a continuous challenge. We have started using technologies such as Workplace, which is a Facebook product and platform, as a social media platform for us internally to communicate. And it's not only to communicate, it's to share information about the company, about what's happening in technology, new product launches, etc., etc. So that's one of the platforms we use, and it starts again from the top. I mean, if Tony or Datoden, the two founders, have something new to share about the new vision of the company or a new product or a new thinking, they will make that post on Workplace.
I see.
And people will respond to that. On the basis of the response, we will take a look at, what are the key themes emerging, and therefore what should we do as a result of actions from those key themes.
So basically you really diminish the middle person of how the message being conveyed down.
Yeah.
And bottom up and bottom up and top down.
There is no bottom, there is no top as a result of this. And there is no sides, because it's seamless. So any message posted by anybody is viewed by the 22,000 people simultaneously.
All right, and that's how you gather how to move forward, right?
That's right.
Okay, Doctor, the example of AirAsia, is it, and then I would say, is it something that is similar to the rest of the industry?
Very much so. It's just only the pace of the implementation, where the more so-called the enterprises, for example, like my current employer, Loop Holdings, we have about 1,000 plus employees, and the age profile of Loop Holdings is roughly about 30-35. Therefore, in terms of technology adoption, they're very hungry, and they are always continuously exploring how can the business optimize on technology to drive. Case in point, the IT team currently that I have is only 3, compared to my earlier employer, I have about 35. So one can immediately see the contrast and the difference in number of people that is required to run an IT department. The way that we are able to keep our IT team very lean and also at the same time very, very efficient is by the ability to leverage with strategic vendors and partners who are able to come up with the solutions that help us to drive our business. And for that, we are very, very pleased to see that kind of results is happening. Like recently, we embarked into Vietnam. It's a new market for us, and we have successfully opened up four stores within a span of 3 months.
Oh, that's good.
And that is considered very remarkable. But we are not just stopping in Vietnam. Already, we are eyeing our new market in Australia and in China. And that will probably be coming on stream by Q1 of this year. So this is how technology is able to propel a business moving forward at a far more faster speed compared to those who still wants to play safe and not be able to jump onto the technology bandwagon.
Some smaller companies, I would assume, would need to, where they don't have enough budget to invest in digital changes.
Right.
Is there any solutions for them so that they could avoid bottlenecks? All right.
Sure.
Keep that answer.
Sure.
See you after
Okay,
this.
cool. All right.
All right. Straight to the question.
Sure.
Avoiding bottlenecks.
Okay. I guess with the government intervention now to drive the industry revolution 4.0 agenda, right? We have seen a lot of efforts put in by the various agencies, including of terms of national budget allocation for the IT agenda. So agencies like the HRDF or PSMB, agencies like ADEX are especially now being tasked to drive this IR 4.0 agenda on a much more accelerated pace. So where SMEs are seeing of funding issues, I believe there is enough fund or grant that are available. It's just, do they look hard enough
Right.
to find who are the agencies that are offering that type of financial assistance? So ignorance is no longer an option. I would want to say that SMEs can have accessibility to expertise that the government have actually set up. And therefore, if they were to avail themselves or even to articulate what are their needs, I'm sure the various key people would be able to respond to their needs.
Dr. Yap, Madam Yap, have you ever experienced in your company, have you ever experienced the kind of backlog or bottlenecks in regards to digital transformation?
Oh, I see actually many people, many companies, right, see that technology is a solution, but I see technology is only a process and a tool for people to use. In organizations, right, that want to strive forward in terms of digital and technology, it's never about the right technology, it's about whether they have actually the digital culture. Many actually technology initiative fails is because the lack of digital culture and the lack of digital skills, among the staff itself. And the leadership, the CEO, the chief technology officer or the chief information officer is very critical, basically in articulating the vision and where is the, how success look like, and whether the people, have the right behavior, the recognition program to put in place. The bottleneck, basically is just, to me, is a subsequent, probably the readiness of the company
All right.
to move forward.
And in case of AirAsia, you said it clearly of how the communication, the seamless communication of the top and the bottom layer has enabled AirAsia to actually transform smoothly. Now, what would be the next chapter for AirAsia?
Yeah, so I guess we've got to start thinking about, what a successful company is doing from a business model perspective. You Grab, which is revolutionized like Uber, the way travel happens, and thankfully on the road, right, not in the air. Because that's our job to revolutionize that. But how do we learn from companies like this? So many companies who have changed the business model of how to operate. So we're constantly looking at new ways of doing things, but it's not only incremental changes, we're looking at the big changes from a business model perspective. How do we change the way a customer engages with us? How do we think about a customer not only from a point of view of them wanting to fly from point A to B, but more broadly. They want to transport goods, they want to buy duty-free, they want to engage in a good experience of buying a great meal, all of that. How do we enable that for our customers?
Do you have any issue communicating the digital agenda to different markets that you are in, especially to the staff in the different markets?
It's a great question. I think there will be some differences depending on where those markets are, generally speaking, in terms of their adoption of technology. Some countries and some nations are further ahead versus others. So I think we have to take into consideration some of that in our change management process and how we introduce technology. But what we have discovered is, because it's so seamless, our communication, and senior people are involved, that things flow very fast within our company in terms of any change. So if you have to change to a new technology, communication happens from Tony and some of the senior people, and they start using it. So work chat or workplace, as I was mentioning, one of the biggest users is the senior management team. And as others look at that, they also adopt the new technology. So I think nothing better than role modeling the use of technology if you want to adopt technology, irrespective of culture and country.
Okay, Doctor, we have like 1 minute left.
Sure.
Maybe in short, what can the HR people do in the next 2 years
Okay.
to ensure smooth transition towards digitalization?
I mean, in my wish list is a pretty long wish list. Okay. But suffice to say, I guess the HR leaders and the practitioners, first and foremost, I guess one of the critical skill sets that they need to have is to be able to master the business acumen and to fully understand what their business is all about. And it's only when they are able to understand the business model, but more importantly, the customer's touch point, would they be able to strategically influence and help the organizational stakeholders to take it to the next level. And this is one of the primary objective in our education of HR practitioners, is to equip them with the knowledge and the skill of what business acumen is all about.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen, and also Madam Karen Yap, for sharing your thoughts with us. Here we had the Chief People and Culture Officer of AirAsia, Mr. Varun Bhatia, once again Madam Karen Yap, the Chief HR Officer Manulife, and Deputy President of Malaysia Institute of Human Resources, Dr. Henry Yeo. We talked about the Workforce Transformation 4.0 and how to make sure that Malaysian workforce stay competitive in the advance of Industrial Revolution 4.0. And how about you? How do you plan to stay ahead in this rapid changes world of digitalization? Share your thought with us on our social media. Till then, I'm Shafizan Johari. Thank you very much.